The 10 mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries that have baffled scientists around the world. Hello everyone, history never dies, it only waits to be unearthed. That's a phrase archaeologists often remind themselves of whenever they embark on a new journey. But have you ever wondered what secrets might lie hidden beneath the quiet surface of the earth? Secrets powerful enough to shake the world? Objects that seem like mere stones, ceramics, or scraps of cloth may in fact carry the power to overturn everything we thought we knew about history, about humanity, and even about the future. In today's video, we'll take you on a journey through 10 of the most mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries on the planet, from a 1,000-year-old cloth predicting the year 2040 to a tomb in England filled with a massive treasure, from a buried ancient city under the land of Thailand to a sacred blue room in the heart of Pompeii frozen in time. Each story opens a door to the past and perhaps even offers a warning for the future. Are you ready? Buckle up, because the journey into untold mysteries begins now. A 1,000-year-old cloth, with 8 characters predicting the year 2040, stuns experts. On a mild sunny day in the early 1990s, an archaeological team on an expedition to the remote region of Xinjiang, China, unintentionally lifted the veil of time, bringing thousands of years of history back to life. Their destination was the ruins of Nia, a location that once served as a cultural crossroads between East and West along the legendary Silk Road. At first, expectations were low. Most believed this would be just another routine excavation, unlikely to yield anything major. But the moment a shovel struck the dry, sandy earth, it opened a completely new chapter in history. After days of digging in the desolate soil, the team discovered an ancient tomb. It wasn't a royal mausoleum. There was no gold, no jade, none of the burial goods we often see in historical Chinese dramas. The surprise lay in its simplicity. Inside the tomb was a small piece of cloth, very small, measuring just about 7.3 inches long and 4.9 inches wide. At first glance, it seemed to be an ordinary remnant of fabric, but its condition left the team in awe. How could a piece of cloth remain so intact in such a harsh climate with high humidity and extreme environmental degradation? It hadn't rotted away completely, nor was it torn to shreds like most fabric would be after thousands of years. The cloth had delicately rounded corners, neatly hemmed silk edges, and even a decorative ribbon. More astonishingly, it was made from 5 layers of smooth, woven brocade, a stunningly advanced textile technique that far surpassed expectations for ancient weaving. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. Embroidered on the fabric were 8 ancient Chinese characters, stitched by hand with remarkable precision and clarity. When translated into modern language, they read, "5 stars rise in the east, bringing prosperity to China." A seemingly mystical phrase, yet one that shocked both archaeologists and astrologers alike. Why? Because the sentence read like a prophecy. No one had expected that our ancestors, thousands of years ago, were already observing the cosmos and leaving behind cryptic messages. The cloth was later sent to multiple major research institutions. After extensive radiocarbon dating and modern age determination techniques, experts confirmed that the artifact dated back to the Han Dynasty, over 2,000 years ago, and the 8 embroidered characters weren't just a poetic line. They represented an ancient astrological prediction. In traditional Eastern astronomy, the 5 stars symbolize the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, that form the basis of all things. They also correspond to the 5 planets visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. When these 5 planets align in the eastern sky, forming a straight line, it is considered a rare celestial event, a powerful omen foretelling prosperity for the nation under its influence. That's why the phrase, 5 stars rise in the east, bringing prosperity to China, isn't just a prediction. It's a cosmic record, based on the ancient worldview in which people lived in harmony with nature and read the stars to determine the fate of their nations. Even more curiously, the phrase 5 stars is the very symbol on the modern Chinese flag, a fact that has led many to wonder, did people in ancient times somehow glimpse the future? Or is it merely an eerie coincidence? Regardless of whether it was chance or prophecy, the tiny brocade cloth from the depths of Nia remains an invaluable treasure. It's not just a historical artifact, it's a bridge between past and present, carrying with it a mysterious message from millennia ago. Once again, history reminds us, Every grain of sand, every scrap of fabric, every ancient word could hold the essence of an entire civilization. And sometimes, the smallest things are what leave the world the most astonished. The ancient city of Nakhon Ratchasima. If you think Nakhon Ratchasima, a modern, bustling city in northeastern Thailand, is only famous as the gateway to the Izan region or as a tourist hub, you might want to reconsider. A recent groundbreaking discovery is gradually unveiling the secrets of a civilization that once thrived here thousands of years ago. A distant past even modern Thais never imagined to be so rich and profound. It all began with what seemed like a routine archaeological excavation in 2024, when the Fine Arts Department of Thailand launched a project to uncover remnants of the city walls built during the reign of King Narai the Great, who ruled the Ayutthaya Kingdom from 1656 to 1688. The goal was believed to be restoring and preserving structures from the Ayutthaya period. However, just days before the project was to conclude, archaeologists unexpectedly discovered a human skull. This finding stunned the team and completely changed the way we view the history of this area. Excavations were extended, and within just 17 days, 3 more skeletons were uncovered, along with many artifacts such as Faimai black pottery and gold jewelry. Distinctive relics of the prehistoric Iron Age culture, dating from approximately 2400 to 1500 years ago. Thermoluminescence dating confirmed this was an ancient cemetery, evidence of a prehistoric community living here long before Ayutthaya or even the Khmer Empire dominated the region. But that was not all. A research team led by Professor Dr. Santi Pilapli from Chulalongkorn University began to ask, could present-day Nakhon Ratchasima be the first city established on this land? By analyzing aerial photographs from 1954, they discovered a nearly square 4-sided earthen embankment located beyond ancient moats and aligned with the flow of 2 old streams, a sophisticated water management system commonly used by ancient civilizations for irrigation and community protection. Even the city's main modern road, Champol Road, might have been the southern boundary of this pre-urban community. This means that beneath the soil of modern Nakhon Ratchasima lies a city even older, an ancient settlement covering about 1.25 square miles, twice the size of the ancient city during King Narai's era. This discovery sparked a new wave of investigations, leading to further excavations near Phon Lan Gate in the east in early 2025. There, another 3 sets of human remains were found at depths ranging from 393 to 656 feet, along with astonishing artifacts such as bracelets, pottery vessels, and gold fragments of up to 80% purity. These archaeological finds clearly indicate that this area, once thought to have been settled only from the 17th century onward, was actually inhabited at least 2,500 to 4,000 years ago. Scholars even suggest the prehistoric settlement could have persisted until the late Iron Age, just before the transition into the historic period marked by written records. What excites researchers even more is the shape of the ancient settlement, nearly square, contrasting with the traditional rectangular shapes of Khmer reservoirs. This supports the idea that the settlement was an independent city with its own urban planning system, not completely influenced by Khmer culture. As a gift from the past, these excavations have opened up opportunities for the public to witness history coming alive. The excavation site at Phon Lan Gate has been transformed into a temporary learning center, welcoming tourists, students, and archaeology enthusiasts. Visitors can touch artifacts, hear stories directly from experts, and feel more vividly than ever that beneath their feet lies an unwritten chapter of history. Thai professor and historian Tongthong Chandransu, after visiting the site, wrote, "Now I understand that people have lived in this area for at least 1,500 years. This settlement survived until the dawn of the historical era." These discoveries not only rewrite the history of Nakhon Ratchasima, but also prompt us to rethink the formation and development of civilizations across Southeast Asia. The 2,000-year-old Blue Shrine. You are stepping into a city frozen in time, where every moment has been preserved from nearly 2,000 years ago, not in paintings or books, but in every stone, every wall, and every speck of ash. This is Pompeii, the ancient Roman city catastrophically buried under volcanic ash following the devastating eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Though time seems to have stood still here, the city's secrets continue to unfold. Recently, an ancient chapel, only about 86 square feet in size, but filled with countless sacred stories tied to the spiritual life and religious rituals of ancient Romans, was discovered by Dr. Gabriel Zuck-Triegel and a team of experts from the Pompeii Archaeological Park. The chapel is located in the city center, within a large architectural complex that was part of a domus, a Roman villa of antiquity. From the first uncovered wall sections, it was clear this was no ordinary room. The entire wall base is painted blue, a shade extremely rare in Pompeian fresco art, typically reserved for spaces with special functions and elaborate decoration, reflecting the room's importance and sanctity. What draws the most attention are the frescoes painted directly on the blue walls. On either side stand representations of the goddesses known as the Horae, goddesses of the four seasons, symbolizing the eternal cycle of nature and time. At the center are subtle metaphors related to agriculture and sheep herding, depicted through symbols such as the plow and the pedum, a short staff commonly used by hunters and shepherds. These images are not mere decorations but express the close relationship between humans, the land, and the gods in ancient Roman culture. But the room was not only artistic, it was a sacred space where religious ceremonies were performed. Archaeologists found 15 wine jars used in sacrificial rites, along with a set of bronze vessels, including 2 jars and 2 oil lamps, carefully placed in what is called the Holy Storage Room. Interestingly, a pile of empty oyster shells was found right at the threshold, and researchers believe they may have been ground and mixed into plaster and mortar during the chapel's restoration. A small but telling detail revealing the unique construction methods of ancient Romans. The discovery's context is also noteworthy. The chapel sits within the southern area of an insula, a large city block containing multiple functional spaces. Surrounding this site are important structures under excavation, such as a public bath, a large black reception room with frescoes overlooking a courtyard, and a staircase leading to the upper floors, indicating this was a luxurious complex once owned by a wealthy and powerful Pompeian family. The chapel excavation is part of a long-term plan to preserve and reinforce Pompeii's archaeological structures, which today include over 13,000 rooms in 1,070 housing units, as well as public areas, temples, and sacred buildings. Finding more structures like this helps clarify the religious life of ancient Romans and improves hydrogeological management to combat the risks of subsidence and erosion caused by modern weather. Pompeii was once a thriving city with paved streets, squares, theaters, and luxurious buildings for the elite. But it was buried in a single fateful night. Today, with every shovel by archaeologists, the past awakens, and places like this newly discovered chapel whisper ancient prayers, beliefs, and hopes for harvests, life, and the endless cycle of time. If I say Pompeii is not just a place buried by a volcano, but also a keeper of the soul of a once great civilization, where the past still lives through every wall, every color, and every silent oyster shell on the threshold of history, that would not be an exaggeration. A 7,000-year-old settlement in Serbia. Have you ever wondered how the earliest civilizations of humankind lived? How they built communities, spread knowledge, and invented technologies in a time without writing, without wheels or metal? If your answer is yes, then this next journey will take you back over 7,000 years to a peaceful area along the Tamish River in northernmost Serbia. Here, amid quiet fields and rural villages, an international archaeological team from the Roots Cluster of Excellence has uncovered one of the largest late Neolithic settlements ever discovered in the Banat region, opening surprising new doors into an important chapter of human history. This settlement is located near the modern village of Jarkovac, in the province of Vojvodina, Serbia. According to Professor Martin Furholt from Kiel University, who leads the research team, this discovery is particularly valuable because large-scale late Neolithic settlements are rarely found in this area. By applying modern geophysical technologies, the team was able to comprehensively map the settlement just this March. It is estimated to cover between 27 and 32 acres and is surrounded by 4 to 6 ditches, indicating a high level of social organization and scale for such an early period of human development. Finn Wilkes, a PhD candidate at Keele University, added, "A settlement of this size is truly spectacular. Thanks to geophysical data, they were able not only to define its boundaries, but also to understand its internal structure, which dates back to around 5400 BCE. Simultaneously, the team conducted systematic pedestrian surveys, collecting many artifacts that identified this as a settlement of the Vinca culture, one of the most prominent cultures in Southeast Europe during the Neolithic era. Notably, some traces also suggest strong interaction with the Banat culture, which is rare in Serbian archaeology. Why is this important? Because the combination of Vinca and Banat cultures not only proves that ancient cultures did not exist in isolation, but also shows that people of that time began exchanging knowledge and techniques, paving the way for the emergence of metal technology later on. To better understand the spread and development of prehistoric cultures, the team extended their research into Hungary, where they analyzed late Neolithic circular structures known as rondels, previously thought to belong to the Lengyel culture, around 5000 to 4400 BCE. However, by combining geophysical surveys and surface investigations, researchers found that many of these rondels are actually younger constructions, some even dating to the Copper Age. A notable example is a site once considered late Neolithic, but after reassessment is more likely linked to the Vuchedol culture, which developed around 3000 to 2400 BCE, a transitional period between the Stone and Copper Ages. Dr. Kata Furholt, a key team member, explained, "This helps us clearly distinguish the layers of time at each site and better understand how knowledge, technology, and even social inequalities began to take shape in human history." Therefore, Southeast Europe, a region often overlooked in major studies of human history, is actually a starting point for many important advances, especially in metalworking, ditch construction, and large-scale community organization. What is happening in Serbia and Hungary is not just ordinary archaeological excavation. These findings are crucial pieces that help decode the transformation of humans from scattered hunter-gatherer groups into stable, organized communities with religion, agriculture, and gradually social institutions that we today call civilization. And all these elements, from ancient ditches thousands of years old to tiny artifacts found on the ground, tell the vivid story of ancient humans' journey, their development, cultural exchange, and transmission of knowledge among early European cultures. It can be said that what the Roots Cluster is doing is more than just archaeology. They are digging deep into the past to find the origins of who we are today. A massive treasure in an ancient tomb in England. Surely many of us have dreamed at least once of discovering a treasure buried underground, a moment that seems to happen only in fairy tales or Indiana Jones movies. But for Thomas Lucking, a 23-year-old student from England, that miracle actually happened in real life. During a routine metal detector survey near the village of Winfarthing, Norfolk, Thomas accidentally uncovered an Anglo-Saxon ancient tomb, the resting place of a high-status woman from more than 1300 years ago. Even more remarkable, on her skeleton lay a precious gold pendant, later valued at £140,000. But this discovery was not simply a matter of luck. It opened a whole new chapter in archaeological research on the Anglo-Saxon period, when ancient English society began transitioning from polytheism to Christianity, marking a major turning point in Europe's cultural and religious history. Experts believe the woman buried in the tomb may have been a noblewoman or spiritual leader, because between 650 and 675 AD, only those of special status were buried with gold and lavish jewelry like this. The pendant is a masterpiece of Anglo-Saxon goldsmithing, crafted with exquisite artisanal techniques that reflect the blend of native beliefs and the influence of the newly introduced Christian religion. And it wasn't just a single gold artifact. Thomas also found many other valuable objects in the tomb, all clearly indicating that the deceased was not only wealthy, but also a person of great influence in ancient society. The find quickly attracted attention from Norwich Castle Museum, which has shown deep interest in this collection of artifacts. In a spirit of openness and transparency, Thomas stated he will share the proceeds from the treasure's sale with the landowner and his companion, and plans to use the money as a down payment on his first home, a journey from underground treasure straight to a dream of settling down. Michael Lewis, head of the Portable Antiquities and Treasure Department at the British Museum, emphasized that this discovery is not only valuable in material terms, but also represents a crucial archaeological milestone, shedding more light on Anglo-Saxon society, a glorious era that spanned from the 5th to the 11th century in England's history. After the Roman Empire withdrew from the island in 410 AD, Germanic tribes like the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes began settling and establishing numerous small kingdoms scattered across the land. It wasn't until 927 AD, under King Athelstan, that these kingdoms were unified into the Kingdom of England, the very foundation of modern England. The Anglo-Saxon period was the age of builders. They stood out not only for their military achievements, but also for profound cultural and religious contributions. They built monasteries and churches, developed metalworking and weaving arts, and left behind literary classics like Beowulf, the epic poem that reflects the life, philosophy, and spirit of the ancient Anglo-Saxons. And thanks to discoveries like Thomas's, we can better understand their lives, a society standing at a crossroads of transformation, from paganism to Christianity, from division to unity, from chaos to construction. What is most special about this find is the clear link between social power and religion during the early Christianization of England. The woman buried was not only honored with jewelry, but also represented a cultural and spiritual transition. Although the Anglo-Saxon era ended in 1066 when the Normans invaded and took control of England, their legacy still remains imprinted in the language, architecture, and culture of England today. Therefore, each discovery like this is like an important puzzle piece, helping restore a part of the soul of European history. So if one day you wander afield with a metal detector in hand and a curious heart, who knows, you might be the next to open a door to history, just like Thomas Lucking did. Because sometimes, the real treasure isn't in the value of gold or silver, but in the stories the past quietly tells. If only someone is willing to listen. Records on a 3,500-year-old ancient tablet. Imagine a piece of land that once trembled under the footsteps of ancient empires, where every brick and layer of soil hides untold stories spanning thousands of years. Then, not long ago, amid the ruins of a city that was once a center of power, archaeologists in Turkey unearthed a small, modest-looking clay tablet bearing the mark of 3,500 years of history. The tablet, measuring only 1.6 inches long and 0.63 inches wide, weighing a mere 1 ounce, instantly drew global attention. Not because of its size, but due to its surprising content. A furniture shopping list dating back to the 15th century BCE. Sounds strangely modern, right? A furniture shopping list recorded millennia ago, as if the Bronze Age had its own bills to settle. In reality, this is one of the rare documents illustrating how the economy functioned back then. From individual transactions to public asset management, from handicraft production to meticulous and systematic bookkeeping. Turkey's Minister of Culture and Tourism, Mr. Mehmet Ersoy, emphasized that this tablet is a crucial key to better understanding the economic structure and state organization during the late Bronze Age. What makes this tablet extraordinary is not only the content of the transactions, but also the language used. Akkadian, a form of hieroglyphic syllabic script widely used throughout the ancient Middle East. Akkadian is one of the oldest Semitic languages ever recorded, related to Arabic and Hebrew. Though now extinct, during the 3rd millennium BCE, it was the primary language of major empires, spoken and written from Iran to Egypt, stretching across what is now Turkey. Thanks to the excellent preservation qualities of baked clay, these Akkadian inscriptions survive to this day, taking us back to a time when even buying a wooden chair was worthy of being recorded in history books. Discovered during the restoration of the ancient city of Alalakh, known today as Tel Achana, near Antakya in southern Turkey, this clay tablet was found in soil layers disturbed by a powerful earthquake. Ironically, this natural disaster paved the way for the spectacular archaeological discovery. Around the 15th century BCE, Alalakh was the capital of the Kingdom of Mukish, a prosperous settlement under the control of the Mitanni Empire, a powerful Near Eastern empire famed for its advanced handicraft production, especially pottery, metalwork, and glass. The Amorites, a Semitic people from western Mesopotamia, modern-day Syria, inhabited and developed the civilization there. They not only built fortified cities, but left behind a legacy of massive mounds, or tells, formed by centuries of construction and reconstruction. Amid these tells, archaeologists have uncovered numerous palaces and castles, holding many other tablets that form a vivid picture of royal life, politics, and society of that era. By approximately 1350 BCE, ancient records show that King Shadawazza of the Mitanni Empire ceded Alalak to King Suppiluliuma of the Hittites, marking a decisive power shift in the region. Every tablet and artifact unearthed, including this furniture list, is not just proof of ordinary transactions, but pieces of a historical puzzle helping archaeologists better understand the social dynamics, power, and daily life of people back then. You might wonder, why is a shopping list so important? But consider this. At a time when writing was a privilege, dedicating an entire tablet to list furniture shows how essential these items were to royal or noble life. They were not merely objects but reflected status, power, and a society's economic organization. That is why archaeologists and linguists today are focusing on analyzing the meanings and symbols in each line of this tablet. Pirate ship, revealed after 4 centuries lost. You've probably heard the tales of Caribbean pirates, the black-flagged marauders sailing the high seas and burying treasure on deserted islands. But today, forget Jack Sparrow and those Hollywood legends. We're about to step into a true chapter, full of drama, bloodshed, and mystery, about a band of pirates who terrorized Europe for centuries, the Barbary pirates. And recently, for the first time in history, one of their ships was discovered deep beneath the sea near the Strait of Gibraltar, unveiling shocking truths about a little-known past. According to maritime archaeologist Sean Kingsley, editor-in-chief of the specialized journal WreckWatch and a member of the research team, this is the first time a Barbary pirate ship has been found in this sensitive area. The shipwreck lies at a depth of 2,723 feet beneath layers of seabed sediment in the Strait of Gibraltar, one of the world's most important shipping routes and the boundary between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. What makes this discovery especially remarkable is the ship's identity. It is a small warship of the tartane type, about 46 feet long, equipped with 2 masts, and rigged with triangular sails made from a fabric called tartanes, popular in the 17th and 18th centuries. This was a nimble vessel that could easily disguise itself as a fishing or merchant ship, a familiar tactic of the Barbary pirates to deceive their targets. The Barbary pirates, also known as Ottoman corsairs, were seafaring warriors who began their operations in the 15th century from Algiers, then part of the Ottoman Empire. They not only seized ships, but also launched terrifying raids on coastal European villages, kidnapping civilians and turning them into slaves or hostages for ransom. Their attacks plunged Mediterranean coastal nations into fear for hundreds of years, especially in the Western Mediterranean, where trade routes and small fishing villages became prime targets for plunder. The newly discovered ship was heavily armed, carrying 4 large cannons, 10 swivel guns, and multiple muskets, enough firepower to threaten any merchant vessel in the area. Its crew numbered about 20 men, a small but fierce and cunning force. Researchers also found a rudimentary telescope, believed to have been captured from a European ship, a revolutionary tool at the time that allowed enemies to spot targets from afar. Notably, many artifacts retrieved from the wreck indicate this was clearly no ordinary merchant ship. Glass bottles made in Belgium or Germany, exquisitely crafted teacups from Turkey, all evidence that the vessel was engaged in large-scale piracy and carrying a hold full of stolen goods. Despite its clever disguise, the ship's heavy weaponry and cargo led archaeologists to confidently identify it as a vessel of the infamous Barbary pirates. Based on its sailing direction and wreck location, experts believe it was on its way to raid the coast of Spain, a frequent victim of pirate attacks in that era. However, the ship never completed its journey. It may have succumbed to bad weather, an unrecorded battle, or simply a fatal accident at sea. No one knows exactly what caused it to sink, but one thing is certain. The ship and all its secrets have rested quietly beneath the ocean floor for centuries, until today. Finally, the fate of the Barbary pirates themselves wasn't much different from the ship just found. In the early 19th century, an alliance of powers including the United States, Sweden, and the Norman Kingdom of Sicily launched decisive military campaigns that ended Barbary pirate dominance in the Mediterranean. Those who once terrified all of Europe were defeated, now surviving only in the bloody, smoke-filled pages of history. What do you think of this discovery? Could there still be countless historical secrets waiting to be uncovered in the ocean's depths? Don't forget to share your thoughts below in the comments so we can continue our journey tracing the past and decoding the untold mysteries of the world. 2,500-year-old biological armor of an ancient soldier. Can you imagine? Over 1,500 years ago, a warrior in northwest China was buried with a treasure that still amazes modern archaeologists today. A piece of biological armor made entirely from leather, intricately designed like fish scales, skillfully covering the entire torso, much like a modern vest. This was not simply armor. It is a vivid testament to ancient military technology, the cultural exchange between East and West, and the timeless creativity of early humans. This extraordinary armor was found in the tomb of a man about 30 years old in what is now northwest China, one of the crucial crossroads of the legendary Silk Road. What makes this armor so strange and valuable isn't just its structure, composed of more than 5,500 individual leather scales, 5,044 small scales, and 140 larger ones, but the challenging question it raises: how could a defensive armor design, originally from the Neo-Assyrian civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, in the West, appear so far east on the Eurasian continent by the 7th century BCE? Patrick Wertmann, the lead archaeologist from the University of Zurich, believes this armor was not ordinary military gear. Weighing only about 11 pounds, roughly equivalent to a lightweight backpack today, it was designed to fit most body types, allowing ease of movement and high effectiveness in combat. This suggests it was not just for elite warriors, but possibly a common issue for mass armies of the time, a breakthrough in how ancient armed forces were organized and trained. Notably, the overlapping fish scale structure helped disperse the impact of sharp weapons while providing flexibility, an essential factor in close-quarter battle. Interestingly, this armor closely resembles depictions of Neo-Assyrian armor carved into ancient stone reliefs, the warriors of an empire once dominant in Mesopotamia during the 7th century BCE. This similarity leads researchers to believe the armor was likely not made in China but imported or crafted based on Western designs, providing rare and compelling evidence of early East-West military technology transfer, possibly centuries before the Silk Road was officially established. Alongside the armor, other burial items were found, including pottery, 2 horse cheek pieces made of horn and wood, and even a sheep's skull, possibly ritual offerings or indicators of the buried individual's social status. Remarkably, a plant thorn embedded in the armor's scales helped scientists precisely date the armor to between 786 and 543 BCE. This further enhances the archaeological value of the find, not only demonstrating ancient leatherworking skills, but also tracing a transcontinental journey where technology, knowledge, and culture spread thousands of miles across steppes and deserts. Reconstructing this armor is a remarkable feat. Imagine stitching each tiny leather scale, likely cowhide, layered row by row in precise proportions to form a living shield that is both sturdy and perfectly contoured to the body. This craft required meticulous care, patience, and deep understanding of human anatomy and materials. This was not a casual product, but the outcome of a systematic production process, possibly commissioned for the military or high-status groups in ancient society. For historians, this biological armor is more than an artifact. It's a priceless piece of the broader picture of interactions among ancient civilizations. It shows that thousands of years ago, people knew how to learn from, replicate, and even improve upon technologies from distant lands. And in this journey, those tiny leather scales, when connected, became shields, not only for soldiers on the battlefield, but also for the memory and wisdom of humanity, preserved and passed down to the present day. A 900-year-old knight's sword. Beneath the turquoise waters off the coast of Carmel, northern Israel, a land steeped in thousands of years of history, Israeli divers have discovered an artifact that sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. A sword measuring approximately 4.3 feet in length, dated back to the 12th century, the very era when Crusader knights swept through the Holy Land. This spectacular discovery was announced by the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, on October 18, 2024. What makes it especially remarkable is not only its nearly 900-year age, but also its near-perfect preservation, an incredibly rare condition for artifacts submerged underwater for centuries. The sword itself is about 4.3 feet long, with a handle roughly 12 inches in length and a blade measuring around 3.3 feet, crafted entirely from iron. Over time, natural processes and marine life incrustation formed a protective layer around the blade, acting like a natural armor that helped maintain the sword's original shape remarkably well. According to Inspector Near Distelfell of the IAA's Anti-Theft Unit, this is not just an antique item, it's a beautiful and rare sword, potentially once wielded by a Crusader knight. Just imagining that is enough to send chills down the spine of any history enthusiast. Picture a knight clad in iron armor, gripping this very sword, fighting on fiery battlefields for faith and honor. And now, nearly a millennium later, his weapon has been found resting on the ocean floor, like a message sent across the ages. But it's not just the sword. During the same expedition, divers also uncovered other artifacts, such as pottery pieces, stone and metal anchors, all hinting at a once vibrant and possibly strategic medieval port. According to Kobe Sharvit, director of the IAA's Marine Archaeology Unit, the Carmel coastline combines many advantages for both trade and military activities. Its natural small bays once provided ideal shelter for ships during sudden storms, while larger bays gave rise to ancient settlements like Dor and Atlet. Thus, this region serves as a vast archaeological treasure trove, where every shifting layer of sand can reveal traces of history. One particularly fascinating point emphasized by the research team is that changing seabed conditions pose enormous challenges for locating and excavating artifacts. Even a minor storm can either expose or completely bury these treasures. Therefore, every accidental find, like this Crusader knight's sword, is incredibly valuable, not just scientifically, but for the entire story of humanity. Experts must work quickly and precisely to collect as much data as possible on site before nature once again buries everything in oblivion. So, what are we really talking about here? Not just a sword, not just an ancient artifact, but a gateway to the past, an invisible thread connecting our era to a time long since legendary. More importantly, it reminds us that beneath the seemingly calm ocean waves, countless untold stories and mysteries remain, waiting for someone curious, passionate, and brave enough to uncover them. The strange remains in the sealed cave. Hidden deep within the ancient geological layers of Mexico, a recent discovery has sparked awe throughout the archaeological world, a secret concealed by time, darkness, and rock. It's not a gleaming golden temple or a dazzling treasure trove, but a small cave entrance, less than 1.5 feet high, harboring thrilling stories of the pre-Columbian Maya civilization. A brilliant, mysterious culture that continues to be the subject of countless scholarly debates and passionate explorations. The story began as what seemed like an ordinary project, widening a road between two ancient excavation sites led by Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, INAH, for the Federal Ministry of Culture. However, while digging, archaeologists unexpectedly uncovered a strange stone adorned with a sea snail shell firmly attached to its surface. Beneath that stone, a narrow passageway, almost buried by time, revealed a completely different world, a small cave divided into at least two modest chambers, only about 10 feet long and 6.5 feet wide, with an average height of just around 20 inches. This cramped, dark, damp, and suffocating space turned out to be the final resting place of people who once lived, breathed, and existed thousands of years ago. As soon as the sealing stone was removed, the archaeologists were stunned. A human skeleton lay with its lower half outside the cave and the upper torso deep inside. Moving further into the cave, the research team led by Mr. Jose identified at least 8 burial sites, mostly adults, preserved almost intact thanks to the sealed environment, stable humidity, and lack of direct light. Ideal conditions for organic remains to survive centuries. But the story doesn't end there. During the survey, researchers Geronimo Aviles and Christian Sanchez made an even stranger discovery. The narrow cave not only contained human remains, but also fossils and bones of at least 9 mammal species, ranging from vampire bats and domestic dogs to unusual birds and reptiles. Remarkably, even fish species like tiger sharks were found, raising a major question. How did shark bones end up in a burial site so far underground? The answer remains unknown, But one theory suggests that these bones might have been intentionally placed by the ancient Maya as offerings or part of spiritual rituals. Some animal bones even show signs of cutting and modification, as if they were once used as tools or artifacts. The archaeologists also uncovered numerous ancient bone needles. Alongside these were countless pottery shards, fragments of everyday items, ritual vessels, or containers for liquids used in religious ceremonies. The biggest challenge for the team wasn't just scientific, it was the harsh working conditions. The cave's narrow space barely allowed an adult to move comfortably. High temperatures, humidity, and insects made every step difficult, yet they were not alone in this battle. Thanks to modern technology, from high-resolution cameras and laser scanners to 3D modeling software, archaeologists could record every tiny detail of the cave, from the exact position of each bone to faded decorative marks worn down by time. Their ultimate goal was not only to understand what happened in this cave, but also to preserve this entire archaeological ecosystem for future generations. This discovery opens a new chapter in humanity's understanding of the Maya civilization and proves that the past is never truly dead. It is simply waiting to be unearthed and retold through the patient hands and passionate minds of those who believe that every stone, every bone, every drop of sweat is a step toward the light of knowledge. And this mysterious cave, though less than 1.5 feet tall, is enough to open a door into the deep world of history, where ancient voices still whisper, waiting to be heard. The 11 terrifying discoveries, recently made by scientists in the desert that could rewrite history. Plain wreckage in the Libyan desert. In the world of mysterious and tragic wartime tales, one disappearance continues to send chills down the spine to this day. The ill-fated flight of the B-24D bomber named Lady Be Good. This story is not only a sorrowful chapter of World War II, but also a powerful testament to human will in the face of hopelessness. Equipped with advanced technology for its time, the Lady Be Good carried a crew of 9 young, enthusiastic servicemen. The aircraft vanished without a trace on its very first combat mission on April 4, 1943. Its objective was a bombing raid over Italy, but Lady Be Good became the only plane in its squadron that failed to return to its base in Libya. Amid the chaos and panic of war, it was believed that the bomber had crashed into the Mediterranean Sea. And so, the story faded into silence for 15 long years. No one could have imagined that the truth lay buried deep within the barren Libyan desert, hundreds of miles from the original flight path. In 1958, an oil exploration crew accidentally captured an aerial photograph that revealed the wreckage of the Lady Be Good, lying solitary in the vast expanse of sand. Despite the violent crash, the remains of the aircraft were remarkably well preserved thanks to the desert's dry, hot climate. What was even more chilling, the radio and several other instruments were still in working condition, as if the plane had landed only recently. Yet, no trace of the crew was found. A year later, in 1959, the Libyan authorities and rescue teams launched a massive search in hopes of uncovering the truth hidden beneath the unforgiving sands. After weeks of fruitless efforts, the mission was called off, leaving behind a haunting mystery. But fate had not finished with this tale. In 1960, 17 years after the disappearance, the remains of 8 of the 9 crew members were finally discovered. They were found scattered along a clear path, suggesting that they had walked as far as they could until their final breaths. Among the personal artifacts, the co-pilot Robert Toner's journal opened a window into their harrowing final days. Buried beneath layers of sand, Toner's quiet words told a solemn story. After the aircraft malfunctioned and could no longer be controlled, the crew bailed out. 8 of the 9 survived the jump. What they didn't know was that instead of falling near the Mediterranean, they had actually landed deep in the Libyan desert. With no food and only a few bottles of water, they began an agonizing survival trek through the scorching sands. They walked continuously for approximately 85 miles under the blistering sun and relentless sandstorms. When 5 of the men could no longer go on, the remaining 3 continued, driven by a desperate hope that salvation lay ahead. Ultimately, they too perished in solitude. Tragically, the body of the gunner, Vernon L. Moore, has never been found. It's as if the desert chose to keep part of its mystery for itself. Lady Be Good is more than just a downed aircraft. It is a symbol of lives consumed by war, a tale of courage and despair, of faint hope in a place where life should not exist. And if you ever hear the wind howling across the towering dunes of Libya, remember that it once carried the echoes of a story time cannot erase, a tale of human resilience in the darkest of circumstances. 2. 7,000-year-old mummies reveal the ancient secrets of the world's largest desert. Nearly a century ago, Hungarian explorer Laszlo Almasi undertook a daring journey across the blistering Sahara Desert. He never imagined he would stumble upon a discovery so strange it could redefine the region's climate history. Rock paintings depicting swimmers, calmly floating in what is now Earth's hottest landscape. While some believe the figures represented spiritual beings, Almasi argued they were real humans, swimming and living in what he believed was once a lush, water-rich Sahara. Now, nearly 100 years later, scientists have once again shocked the world, this time by successfully decoding the DNA of two naturally mummified individuals dating back 7,000 years, discovered in Taklamakan, a remote area in southern Libya. These findings not only support Almasi's bold hypothesis, but also open a gateway to understanding a civilization that once thrived in a Sahara teeming with life. Published in the prestigious journal Nature, the analysis revealed the two mummies belonged to a previously unknown lineage, an ancient people who lived in isolation during a time when the Sahara was not a wasteland but a paradise of greenery, rivers, and wildlife. The modern image of the Sahara as a symbol of dryness and survival hardship belies its ancient past. Around 14,000 years ago, as the Ice Age ended, a prolonged monsoon cycle transformed the region into a fertile land. Lush grasslands, crystal-clear lakes, and dense forests covered areas now blanketed by endless dunes. This thriving ecosystem attracted animals like hippos, elephants, and giraffes, as well as some of the earliest human settlers who survived by hunting and gathering. Amid this vibrant natural setting, the ancient rock art of the Taklamakan Mountains was created, a vivid collection depicting daily life along rivers, hunting scenes, animals, and spiritual rituals. These illustrations not only prove human presence in a green Sahara, but serve as a visual portal to a dramatically different era. Taklamakan, where the mummies were unearthed, was once part of this green Sahara. In a rock shelter, archaeologists found not only human remains, but also woven baskets made from swamp grasses, clear evidence of a moist, fertile environment. But what truly stunned scientists was the DNA analysis. These two ancient women had no close genetic ties to any current sub-Saharan African populations. Instead, they carried one of the oldest known genetic lineages, separate from the major waves of human migration out of Africa over 50,000 years ago. They belonged to a unique human branch, unlike any modern group. Their genome showed only faint links to people from Tafaralt, Morocco, dating back 15,000 years, and they possessed 10 times less Neanderthal DNA than modern non-Africans, yet more than present-day sub-Saharan populations. This suggests they were a blend of very ancient populations, possibly including Neanderthals, originating from North Africa, a region still full of genetic mysteries. About 5,000 years ago, a major shift occurred. A change in Earth's axial tilt weakened the monsoons, leading to the Sahara's desiccation. The once fertile land dried up, transforming into the desert we know today. The Taklamakan people were either forced to migrate or disappeared altogether, possibly contributing to the rise of later civilizations like ancient Egypt. But the Taklamakan lineage seems to have vanished, leaving no clear descendants, only faint traces in the DNA of some modern North African groups. Their lives, their art, and their legacy, buried beneath layers of sand and time, are now being unearthed not only with shovels and trowels, but through the language of genes, a whisper from our ancestors about a forgotten chapter of Earth's history, when the Sahara was once a green paradise. The mysterious metal monolith in the Utah Desert. In the arid and desolate Utah Desert, a landscape of red rocks, dust, and millennia-old silence, a strange mystery emerged, captivating the world. On November 18, 2020, while conducting an aerial survey of wild bighorn sheep, local officials spotted an enigmatic metal object standing alone in the wilderness. It wasn't a rock or debris from some machine. It was a three-sided stainless steel monolith, approximately 11 feet tall, gleaming silver and rising from the desert floor as if placed there from outer space. This peculiar structure bore no identifying marks, no inscriptions, no symbols, and no nearby structures or devices to hint at its purpose. It simply existed in a place rarely visited by humans, sparking a global frenzy on social media and leaving researchers grappling with questions. Who brought it here? Why place it in such a remote location? How could such a heavy object be installed without detection? Before answers could surface, an even stranger event unfolded. On the night of November 27th, the monolith vanished without a trace. No witnesses, no cameras, no explanation. The Utah Bureau of Land Management confirmed its removal that evening, but stated they had no involvement and considered it private property beyond their jurisdiction. This deepened the mystery, fueling public speculation and unease. As the enigma of its appearance remained unsolved, its sudden disappearance added another layer of intrigue. Experts analyzed the situation, noting that transporting a metal structure over 11 feet tall into the desert would require specialized equipment, manpower, and significant effort. Yet no one saw anything, no one was recorded, and no one claimed responsibility. Some suggested it might be an unauthorized art installation, akin to interventionist art seen in other remote locations. But if it was art, what was the artist's intent? Why choose the desolate Utah desert? And why remove it so swiftly without anyone claiming credit? A bolder, more controversial theory emerged, linking the monolith to extraterrestrial activity. Believers argued it could be a cosmic antenna, a test signal, or a marker of alien presence, pointing to advanced technology capable of such a feat, much like countless UFO reports. Scientists dismissed this as speculative, but with no official explanation, all possibilities remained on the table. Nearly 5 years later, the Utah monolith's origin remains unconfirmed. No one has taken responsibility, no clear clues have emerged, and no one can fully explain how such an object appeared and vanished in modern America. All that remains are images, posts, and videos circulating online, alongside an indescribable sense of mystery. In an era where everything is recorded and analyzed, this event reminds us that Earth still holds secrets beyond our grasp. Whether an art piece, a prank, or evidence of another civilization, the Utah monolith remains one of the most captivating real-life mysteries. The 4,000-year-old mummies of the Taklamakan Desert. In the vast, harsh sands of the Taklamakan Desert, one of the planet's driest and most unforgiving landscapes, an ancient secret nearly remained buried forever. In 1939, during a survey in the Shaohei region, a team led by Swiss archaeologist Bergmann Folke uncovered a series of peculiar tombs. Yet this discovery was forgotten for over 60 years, as if the desert itself had swallowed the story. It wasn't until 2000, when the Xinjiang Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology resumed excavations, that the mystery resurfaced. After 5 years of grueling work under the scorching sun, a stunning revelation emerged, astonishing the scientific community. Spanning an unprecedented area, the Shaohei Cemetery revealed 330 tombs, layered across generations, containing 15 remarkably preserved mummies. Each was placed in boat-shaped wooden coffins, faces down, as part of an apparent sacred ritual. What stunned archaeologists wasn't just the mummy's 4,000-year-old preservation, but the meticulous wrapping in wool and cowhide, so precise that not a single grain of sand penetrated. The desert's extreme dryness and cold acted as a natural freezer, preserving hair, clothing, and even facial expressions with eerie clarity. The most captivating find was a mummy dubbed the Shaohei Princess. Her delicate features, smooth skin, high nose, long reddish hair, curved eyelashes, and a subtle, alluring smile remained intact after millennia. These traits, strikingly uncharacteristic of ancient Chinese populations, prompted questions about her identity and origins. Modern reconstruction technology revealed her near-complete face, leading experts to wonder, who was she? Where did she come from? Why was a woman with European-like features in this remote region? DNA tests provided partial answers, revealing that she and other mummies carried mixed Eastern and Western genetic markers, with one male mummy showing traces from Eastern Europe. Yet no traces of settlements, structures, or paths suggested a lasting community presence, as if these people appeared and vanished without a trace. Intriguing theories emerged. One suggests the princess and her group may have traveled thousands of miles from southeastern Europe or the Ural Mountains to Central Asia, settling briefly before fading from history. Why choose the deadly Taklamakan as a resting place? How did they survive such a merciless environment? What caused their disappearance? The princess's attire, a pointed white hat, high fur-lined boots, and intricately sewn garments bore cultural markers that remain unlinked to any known civilization, making her a cultural enigma and a key to an undocumented era. Over 4,000 years later, the Xiaohe princess's story remains unresolved. Was she a diplomat, a traveler, a religious figure, or a victim of forced migration? The sands of Taklamakan may have buried much, but they also preserved a timeless tale, a princess whose beauty whispers secrets from a distant past. The Ghost Sea in the Sahara Desert. In the heart of the Sahara Desert, one of the harshest and driest places on Earth, known as the Sea of Deadly Sand, with dunes rising hundreds of feet and heat that can incinerate any living thing, it's hard to imagine that thousands of years ago, this was a vast world of water, larger than the Caspian Sea in Central Asia. Thanks to special satellite imagery from NASA, scientists made a stunning discovery. What is now a desolate desert was once the bed of an ancient lake spanning nearly 150,000 square miles, an area large enough to cover Germany or nearly match the size of California. Researchers named this majestic remnant Lake Mega Chad. From the ground, you'd see only endless sand and barren rock, with no hint of water or vibrant life. But from space, satellite imagery reveals intricate terrain patterns and subtle geological shifts that outline a long-lost inland ocean. This wasn't just a lake, it was a watery world covering what is now Central Sahara, including the Baudelaire Depression, once submerged under Lake Megachad during a wetter era in North Africa. Geological and sediment analyses suggest Lake Megachad formed at least 7,000 years ago during the Green Sahara period, when the region was lush, rainy, crisscrossed with rivers, and home to early human communities. However, around 5,000 years ago, global climate change triggered increasing aridity. Rainfall dwindled, rivers dried up, and Lake Megachad, once a vast freshwater ocean, gradually shrank and nearly vanished, leaving behind the expansive desert we know today. The modern Lake Chad is a mere shadow of its former glory, a faint remnant of the colossal lake that once dominated the region. This realization is chilling. Just a few millennia ago, a place where humans now struggle to survive was an ecological paradise, supporting agriculture, herding, and permanent settlements. The story of Megachad doesn't end with its dried-up past. The Baudelaire Depression, once the lake's core, is now one of the world's largest sources of atmospheric dust. Remarkably, this dust from a dead land carries vital nutrients, particularly phosphorus, essential for plant growth. Swept by strong winds across the Atlantic, Baudelaire's dust reaches the Amazon rainforest in South America, acting as a natural fertilizer for one of Earth's richest ecosystems. This connection transforms Lake Megachad into a symbol of global ecological interdependence. From the barren Sahara, millions of tons of fine dust travel across continents and oceans to nourish sprawling forests on another hemisphere, a phenomenon unimaginable to the naked eye. Though vanished from sight, Lake Megachad continues to influence the global ecosystem, silently playing a vital role in Earth's ecological chain. The rise and fall of Lake Megachad is not just a geological tale, but a powerful reminder of nature's might and the fragility of ecosystems. The climate shifts that erased Africa's largest freshwater ocean could, if unchecked, destroy other wonders in the future. The dust-laden winds of the Sahara carry traces of a lost world and a warning about the delicate balance of our planet. Do you agree? If not, share your thoughts in the comments below and let's discuss. The 1,500-year-old Buddhist ruins. In May 2012, a team of archaeologists touched the past when they uncovered the remains of an ancient Buddhist temple buried deep in the scorching sands of the Taklamakan Desert. What stunned the world wasn't just the 1,500-year age of this site, but what it revealed: a cultural treasure trove testifying to the remarkable intersection of Eastern and Western civilizations. Initially, the temple was almost entirely buried under thick desert sand. Yet beneath lay over 3,000 precious artifacts, most notably breathtaking murals unlike any found in the region. These artworks bore the distinct style of Greco-Buddhist art, a rare fusion unseen after the 6th century. In this remote, seemingly isolated desert, evidence of a transcontinental cultural encounter emerged, tracing Buddhism's journey from India across vast lands to ancient China via trade caravans. Lead archaeologist Wu Xinhua expressed awe. "This site is truly unique. We've never seen murals like these in this field. It's clear evidence of two cultures merging as Buddhism spread into China. Indeed, this discovery fills a missing piece in the history of Buddhism's evolution. A major religion that traveled thousands of miles and centuries to shape a civilization's spiritual identity." The excavation, completed in June 2012, dated the temple to China's northern and southern dynasties period, 5th to 6th centuries CE, a time of upheaval and cultural exchange when China expanded trade through the legendary Silk Road connecting Asia and Europe. The temple's significance lies not only in its age or the artistry of its murals, but also in its astonishing architecture. The largest chamber uncovered was an unprecedented, awe-inspiring space unlike anything found in Taklamakan excavations. A grand sacred hall where ancient devotees once gathered, meditated, and worshipped. This structure not only stunned archaeologists, but opened new avenues of research into how ancient people built monumental religious sites in one of Earth's harshest environments. For historians and archaeologists, this find is a window into the past, revealing Buddhism's early steps into China and raising questions about the profound influence of Western culture, specifically ancient Greece, on Eastern religion. The mythological figures, artistic lines, and color techniques reflect a harmonious blend of multiple civilizations' wisdom. Today, standing in the Taklamakan desert under blistering sun and stinging sand, it's hard to imagine this was once a cultural hub where monks and artisans wove legends through brushstrokes and faith. Buried for over 1,300 years, this temple speaks again, delivering a message from the past. Every journey, no matter how arduous, leaves a mark when driven by intellect, faith, and the meeting of civilizations. The perforated brick houses. In a world where digital maps and GPS navigation allow you to pinpoint your location with a few taps, it's hard to imagine the fear of being lost in a trackless wilderness, especially in a place as unforgiving as a desert. Yet, in the northern Sinai Peninsula of Egypt, you'll encounter a haunting and peculiar sight. Small brick houses scattered across an endless sea of golden sand. At first glance, they might seem like forgotten relics of a lost civilization, but in reality, they are vivid proof of human ingenuity and adaptation to nature, specifically the brilliance of the Bedouin, one of the planet's oldest nomadic communities. These brick houses, though now partially in ruins, still tell a story of a clever and resilient past. They weren't permanent homes, rest stops, or storage depots. According to archaeologists and anthropologists, these modest structures served as desert lighthouses, wayfinding architecture akin to coastal lighthouses that have saved countless ships from stormy seas. The story begins with the unique lifestyle of the Bedouin, nomadic Arab tribes who have roamed vast deserts like those in Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, and Egypt. Known as people of the desert, the term Bedouin derives from the Arabic Bedu, meaning just that. They have thrived for thousands of years in arid, extreme conditions, scarce water, scorching temperatures, and vast, featureless terrain that makes navigation daunting. To survive, the Bedouin relied not only on endurance and experience, but also on innovative solutions, like building domed brick houses as landmarks. Constructed from local bricks, these rectangular structures with domed roofs, perforated with ventilation holes, stand over 6.5 feet tall, often positioned on slopes or high points for visibility from afar. Remarkably, no two houses are identical. Variations in structure, materials, and hole patterns reflect the distinct identities of different Bedouin groups, each with unique routes and territories, marking their presence with these bespoke desert lighthouses. Why call them lighthouses? Their purpose mirrors that of their maritime counterparts. In an era before detailed maps or GPS, crossing vast deserts was like sailing an endless ocean. A slight miscalculation, a sudden sandstorm, or a subtle terrain shift could lead an entire caravan astray, sometimes fatally. The Bedouin, keenly aware of this, built these structures at strategic, visible points. When needed, a fire lit inside would shine through the domed roof's holes, creating a visual beacon in the dark or during blinding sandstorms. These simple primal flames were life-saving, guiding lost travelers back to their path or helping caravans stay on course across journeys spanning hundreds or even thousands of miles. These structures are more than architecture. They are indigenous technology, blending instinct, environmental knowledge, and natural laws honed over millennia of nomadic life. Though many have crumbled with time, they remain as a testament to humanity's ability to conquer harsh environments with ingenuity and adaptability long before satellites or digital compasses existed. The Bedouins' desert lighthouses are not just historical relics, but a message from the past. Even in seemingly lifeless places, humans can thrive, not with advanced technology, but with enduring wisdom and a profound connection to nature. Isn't that remarkable? The 7,000-year-old giant, ancient cemetery. In a parched land where rain hasn't fallen for centuries, where scorching days give way to freezing nights, and where life seems impossible, the Atacama Desert, stretching from northern Chile to southern Peru, the driest place on Earth, hides one of humanity's most staggering archaeological discoveries. Vast ancient cemeteries containing thousands of near-perfectly preserved mummies, enduring for over 7,000 years. This is not Egypt or the Inca heartland, but the realm of the Chinchorro, a mysterious culture that pioneered mummification techniques millennia before the ancient Egyptians. Scientists call this the world's oldest mummy cemetery. What's astonishing is that these mummies aren't limited to elites or adults, as in many civilizations, but include men, women, the elderly, the poor, infants, miscarried fetuses, and even domesticated animals. This suggests the Chinchorro culture did not discriminate in death. They honored all, rich or poor, long-lived or short-lived. To them, death wasn't an end, but the start of a sacred journey. Imagine mummies, some sitting, some lying on their side, some bearing faint, eternal smiles, with skin and hair intact after millennia. The Chinchorro's sophisticated mummification, combined with the Atacama's harsh environment, daytime temperatures reaching 122 to 140 degrees, bone-dry air, and sodium-rich soil that rapidly dehydrated bodies prevented bacterial growth, making nature an unwitting guardian of this civilization for thousands of years. How many bodies were mummified over their 4,000-year practice? Researchers estimate millions, creating a vast archaeological treasure buried beneath our feet. The oldest mummies date back over 7,000 years, the youngest around 3,000, telling the story of a once thriving civilization silenced by time. Remarkably, the Chinchorro's mummification rivaled any ancient culture. They removed organs, used wooden rods to stabilize spines, recreated faces with clay, and painted skin with red iron oxide or black manganese, showcasing an astonishing blend of artistry and science predating Egypt's pyramids. Why were the Chinchorro forgotten? Likely because they left no grand monuments or written records and lived in the isolated, inhospitable Atacama, rarely visited by outsiders. Yet their mummies have rewritten history, proving that the first to mummify were not Egyptians, but South America's Chinchorro. As scientists uncover more from this seemingly lifeless land, questions linger. Did they believe in an afterlife? Was mummification a way to keep loved ones close? By turning the world's driest desert into a repository of memory, the Chinchorro created a place where time stands still, allowing us to glimpse the souls of those who lived millennia ago. The mysterious straight lines of Bolivia's Sajama Desert. Looking down from above the arid western region of Bolivia, amidst the pristine wilderness and the towering presence of Nevado Sajama, the country's highest peak, a network of straight lines emerges, resembling mysterious engravings of time etched into the earth. These are the Sajama lines, one of the lesser-known archaeological enigmas, yet they possess monumental scale and an irresistible allure for researchers, explorers, and enthusiasts of ancient remnants. Spanning an area of over 8,700 square miles, this network is approximately 15 times larger than the famous Nazca lines of neighboring Peru. In terms of total length, the Sajama lines extend up to 9,940 miles, making them potentially the largest artwork in the world, assuming their purpose was to display visual creativity. What perplexes archaeologists and scientists is not just their colossal size, but the unresolved questions. Why were they created? Who made them? And what was their true purpose? These lines do not run independently, but intersect and overlap, forming a network that appears chaotic, yet evokes a sense of organization and clear intent. Unlike the Nazca lines, which depict animals, plants, or artistic symbols, the Sajama lines do not form specific shapes. They are merely long, regular, and remarkably straight streaks, an aspect that raises the question, how could ancient humans, without modern tools, draw kilometer-long lines with such precision without aerial perspective? The answer remains elusive, but numerous hypotheses abound. Some scholars suggest these lines served as pilgrimage routes, as they frequently intersect and connect with shrines, cemeteries, and small ancient villages. Another theory posits that they are pathways leading to water sources, a vital and scarce resource in this arid land. If so, the Sajama lines were not just physical structures, but symbols of faith, life, and survival in the harsh environment of ancient peoples. Technically, creating these lines was surprisingly simple. Ancient people merely scraped away the dark oxidized surface layer to reveal the lighter soil beneath. The contrast between the two layers created a clear effect visible from thousands of feet above. This technique is similar to that used by the Nazca to create their famous drawings in Peru, prompting some scholars to question, could there be a cultural connection between these two civilizations? Perhaps a cultural relationship or even mutual influence between two contemporaneous civilizations living in the vast Andes? According to a study published in 2016, the Karangas, a native group that lived in the southern Andes from 1000 to 1476 AD, were likely the creators of the Sajama lines. This period coincides with the time before the Inca Empire expanded its control over the area. However, while scientists agree on the approximate dating, the exact origin and true purpose of these lines remain a significant mystery, continuing to challenge modern knowledge and spark curiosity. Therefore, the Sajama lines are not just an archaeological heritage, but also a puzzle of time, a grand mystery yet to be fully solved. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected through modern technology, these ancient engravings in the Bolivian desert remind us that there is still much we do not know or understand about human history. Perhaps somewhere beneath the foot of Novato Sajama, within these silent lines, stories await to be told. Stories that only time and the patience of curious minds can fully reveal. The 2,500-year-old skeletons of women sold into slavery. In the heart of Israel's arid and harsh Negev desert, a region seemingly dominated by sun, wind, and sand, an ancient secret was unexpectedly uncovered in 2021, astonishing the international archaeological community. Specifically, during an excavation conducted before the commencement of a water pipeline project, archaeologists discovered a peculiar burial site isolated in the desolate land, with no traces of any past settlements. What made this discovery particularly significant was that it contained dozens of skeletons dating back 2,500 years, most of which are believed to be the remains of women from distant lands, possibly victims of trans-desert human trafficking in ancient times. These graves were found at a highly strategic location, the intersection of two major ancient trade routes that once connected Egypt with Wadi Araba and the Arabian Peninsula. This positioning has raised substantial questions among experts. Could this have been a transit point in the ancient trade network, serving not only as a hub for goods exchange, but also as a transit point for people, especially women, used for ritualistic and religious purposes? Tali Erickson-Genie, an archaeologist with the Israel Antiquities Authority, affirmed, "This is the first time we've discovered such a burial site in this area. Notably, it is entirely separate from any known ancient settlements, indicating that this place held deeper ceremonial significance rather than being a regular habitation site." This isolation further emphasizes the mysterious and sacred nature of the burial site, as if it was chosen for a very specific, sacred yet dark purpose. The remains discovered here are predominantly those of adult women, although further analysis is needed to confirm their exact gender. Among the graves, archaeologists found numerous unusual artifacts, from jewelry made of copper and silver to intricately crafted pottery, cypraea shells from the Red Sea, items commonly used by Egyptian women as amulets to ward off evil. Additionally, incense boxes and alabaster trays, objects related to the trade of frankincense and myrrh, were also found, indicating that this site was once a crucial link in the ancient religious trade network, where material goods and beliefs intertwined into an ethereal entity. However, behind this solemn exterior lies a story that could send chills down anyone's spine. The women buried here were likely victims of human trafficking that persisted for centuries. Preliminary studies suggest they may have come from Gaza or Egypt, transported across the desert to the Arabian Peninsula, where they were possibly forced into roles as brides or prostitutes, serving in superstitious and mystical religious ceremonies. The tale becomes even more grim as archaeologists discovered that many of the skeletons had been displaced from their original positions, possibly to make room for later burials, indicating that this area was reused over an extended period, underscoring its undeniable ritualistic importance in the ancient consciousness. Furthermore, ancient records such as the Minoan inscriptions in Yemen also mention ritual prostitution and the trade of women in the region, further supporting the hypothesis of a dark industry that existed alongside sacred ceremonies at commercial crossroads. All these elements paint a historical picture that is both mysterious and tragic, clearly reflecting a period in the past when the boundaries between faith and power, between belief and human oppression, became more blurred than ever before. It is important to emphasize that these hypotheses are still preliminary research findings, and scientists continue to analyze and cross-reference evidence to fully uncover the story behind the mysterious graves of the Negev desert. However, regardless of the final conclusions, it is evident that this discovery has opened a new chapter in the journey of exploring human history, not only from an archaeological perspective, but also as a reminder of the fate of those who once lived, and may have been forgotten in pages of history never written. Ancient drawings on the Peruvian desert. On May 28, 2018, Peru's Ministry of Culture stunned archaeologists and history enthusiasts around the world by announcing a groundbreaking archaeological discovery: 25 massive drawings, known as geoglyphs, etched into the desert floor near the town of Palpa. What made this discovery especially remarkable was not just the images themselves, but how they were found. Unlike earlier discoveries, which were made by chance during walks or through satellite images, these geoglyphs were identified using drones. This marked a clear shift in archaeological practice in the 21st century, where modern technology is increasingly replacing traditional methods in uncovering the mysteries of human history. The new Palpa geoglyphs are not only astonishing in size and intricacy, but also in what they reveal. They were not created by the Nazca civilization, long famous for its mysterious geoglyphs, but by an even older culture, the Paracas. These drawings are estimated to be over 2,000 years old, predating the Nazca geoglyphs by several centuries. This revelation is significant not only for its historical value, but also because it challenges existing assumptions about the cultural and technical sophistication of the Paracas civilization, often overshadowed by the more well-known Nazca. Among the 25 newly discovered figures are entirely novel symbols: a woman depicted with graceful lines, a monkey dancing as if in a sacred ritual, mysterious numerical symbols that evoke mystical codes, and most notably, an image of an orca, considered by the Paracas to be a semi-divine creature. These symbols had never been seen in previous archaeological finds, and their uniqueness has led researchers to re-evaluate the scope of Paracas cultural symbolism. Could it be that their belief system was far more complex than previously thought? Might they have developed a method of expressing beliefs and conveying messages that transcended spoken language? Another fascinating aspect of the Palpa drawings is their visibility. Unlike the Nazca lines, which can only be fully appreciated from the air, the Palpa geoglyphs can be seen clearly from the ground. This makes them far more accessible for study and raises an intriguing hypothesis. Perhaps the Paracas didn't require aerial perspectives to create and appreciate their artwork. If so, what was their true purpose? Were these images part of religious ceremonies, a form of divine communication, or simply a demonstration of power and knowledge within a highly developed society? According to archaeologist Johnny Ayla of the Peruvian Ministry of Culture, the massive desert drawings remain one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Over the decades, hundreds of theories have emerged, from astronomical calendars and ceremonial pathways to alien-influenced interpretations, but no one has definitively explained why these ancient people created such enormous figures or how they have endured for thousands of years in such harsh desert conditions. Thus, the Palpa discovery is far more than just the unveiling of a few new desert drawings. It is a vital key to unlocking the past, offering archaeologists new clues to further investigate the Paracas and Nazca civilizations, two essential pieces in the pre-Columbian history of Peru. These strange lines and deeply symbolic images stand as living proof of the timeless creativity of ancient humanity. They serve as a powerful reminder that even as our understanding of the world evolves, ancient civilizations still have much to teach us about wisdom, faith, and the enduring power to inspire across the boundaries of space and time. Inside a secret Nazi bunker, just 10 feet underground, archaeologists were shocked by what they found. Deep in the heart of a dense old forest, where sunlight barely breaks through the canopy in thin rays, you would never guess that, in this seemingly unknown place, lies a chilling secret, a secret buried for decades beneath an old moss-covered swimming pool. Welcome to the 10 Minutes Discovery Channel, where we explore mysteries that have been sleeping through time. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover Adolf Hitler's last secret hideout outside Germany, a forgotten relic swallowed by nature, one that sent shivers down the spines of explorers who dared to enter. The story begins with a man named Marc Ascat, a French photographer and explorer. During what seemed like a routine trip into the forest, he stumbled upon something unimaginable: a dilapidated swimming pool, abandoned and overgrown in the woods. But what intrigued Marc wasn't the pool itself, but a strange feeling he had standing nearby, a sensation that something was hidden just beneath the surface. After days of investigation and searching for clues, Marc and his team discovered a small entrance cleverly concealed by trees and moss. And from that moment, the terrifying journey officially began. A door leading to a secret bunker about 100 feet underground slowly opened. But what awaited them wasn't treasure, nor a forgotten structure. It was an underground maze stretching nearly 6 miles, with dozens of rooms connected by dark, cold corridors. Every step echoed with mysterious sounds from the deep below. The cracked walls were covered in moss and marks left by the passage of time. Scattered across them were faint traces of scribbled writings, perhaps notes, orders, or final words from those who once served the Nazi leader. Marc recounted that his expedition team faced an extremely harsh journey, not just because of the challenging terrain, but due to the unexplainable chill that filled the space once occupied by one of history's most dangerous men. Every dark corner and unexpected noise sent their hearts racing. According to many experts, this could very well be Hitler's last base and that of his closest generals outside Germany, built as a contingency plan during the final stages of World War II. From here, many military directives were issued, and no one knows how many secret meetings took place in this cold underground world. The truly terrifying part is that all of this was buried and forgotten for decades, to the point where nature almost erased every trace. Without the persistence and fierce spirit of exploration from Marc Ascat, this secret might have remained lost forever beneath the damp forest floor. Marc is not alone. A German explorer named Robert Conrad once ventured into another Hitler bunker elsewhere in Germany. He even feared for his life simply for capturing photos of the site. Such immense secrets and sensitive traces have cost those brave enough to seek them dearly. Despite the risks, Marc Ascat insists, "What we see here is a part of history, and history cannot be buried forever." What do you think about this horrifying discovery? Could there be more secrets hidden within this bunker? And what caused it to vanish from the map for over half a century? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss together. Of course, this bunker discovery is not the only one. Over many centuries, archaeologists and experts from around the world have made countless impressive findings, from mysteries inside tombs to massive treasures and even mummies carrying untold stories. Next, join us as we uncover those discoveries and see what surprises archaeology still has in store for us. The Chinese immigrant mummies in Peru. In the heart of bustling Lima, where modern skyscrapers compete for the sky, a historical mystery has quietly resurfaced from beneath the ground. Not within a museum or famous archaeological site, but buried less than 3 feet underground, archaeologists uncovered a shocking discovery: 3 mummies in old wooden coffins, believed to belong to Chinese immigrants from the 19th century. At first glance, this might seem like a typical archaeological find, but the story behind it is a moving chapter in the journey of people who left their homeland, crossed oceans in search of a new life, and ultimately found eternal rest in a foreign land. The mummies uncovered were not royalty or nobles, but ordinary laborers, men who once worked in factories, mines, and most notably, for the Calida Natural Gas Company in Lima and Callao. The bodies were found lying peacefully in humble wooden coffins. Beside them were a few personal items, not gold or jewels, but handcrafted artifacts rich in traditional Chinese symbolism, a metal lighter, an opium pipe, items once common in the 19th century. These small objects encapsulate an entire culture, a forgotten past buried in the heart of South America. Their presence is not only physical evidence of a turbulent era of migration, but also a poignant reminder of a little-known chapter in history, the first wave of Chinese immigration to Peru in the mid-19th century. Amidst the booming sugar and cotton industries, thousands of Chinese, primarily from Guangdong, left their homeland to work in plantations, factories, and construction sites in Peru. Their lives were far from easy. They toiled under grueling conditions, lived in harsh environments, and often faced discrimination from the local population. Yet, it was these same individuals who quietly laid the foundation for Chinese culture in Peru. The burial artifacts are more than everyday items. They are enduring symbols of identity. A simple opium pipe may reflect a habit, but in this context, it stands as a testament to a community that once existed. A community that loved, suffered, and is now honored through the dust of time. Archaeologists believe these three mummies are only the beginning. They expect to uncover many more remains of Chinese migrants scattered throughout the area. That means countless untold stories, forgotten memories, and a lost piece of history are still waiting to be brought to light. In an age where global connection is only a tap away, it's sobering to realize that entire lives, entire communities, could be forgotten for over 100 years. This discovery isn't just an archaeological event. It's a powerful reminder that every life, no matter how small or anonymous, contributes to the fabric of history. And perhaps those Chinese immigrants of long ago never truly left. They remain with us, in every coffin, every rusted lighter, every whiff of opium smoke that vanished into the air more than a century ago. The journey from Guangdong to Lima was not just a voyage across oceans. It was a migration of hope, hardship, and a culture swept into the tides of history. Thanks to the dedication of today's archaeologists, these stories are finally resurfacing. As a tribute to the souls who once lived, dreamed, and quietly sacrificed. They are not just mummies. They are witnesses to a turbulent era, symbols of unyielding willpower in a foreign land. And the final question for us all, how many more pieces of history lie beneath our feet, waiting to be heard? The answer may be hard to find, but perhaps one day, archaeologists will uncover them all. A 140,000-year-old sunken city beneath the ocean. Deep beneath the ocean floor, buried under layers of mud and sand in the Madura Strait, the body of water linking Indonesia's Java and Madura Islands, scientists have made a stunning revelation: the remains of an ancient city. This could be the first physical evidence of a long-lost world in human history. What shocked archaeologists and scientists even more was the discovery of a Homo erectus skull, an ancient ancestor of modern humans, along with more than 6,000 prehistoric animal fossils. These clues might unlock the mysterious past of Sundaland, a now submerged region that once teemed with human and animal life. Imagine a vast landmass connecting much of present-day Southeast Asia, complete with rivers, dense forests, and fertile valleys. Picture massive ancient elephants, stegodons, standing over 13 feet tall and weighing more than 22,000 pounds, roaming freely across lush grasslands. Envision early Homo erectus using stone tools to hunt deer, Komodo dragons, and wild buffalo in a vibrant ecosystem, now lost beneath the ocean. Remarkably, some of the animal bones found here bear distinct cut marks, not from natural decay, but from deliberate human activity. These are vivid signs that our ancestors not only walked upright, but also crafted tools for hunting and food preparation. They weren't just survivors, they were strategists. All this was not discovered through a grand excavation, but by sheer accident. In 2011, local sand miners unearthed the fossils during underwater dredging. With each heavy scoop of sand, they unknowingly lifted fragments of ancient history from the ocean floor. Years later, scientists conducted thorough analyses and carbon dating, estimating the fossils to be between 119,000 and 162,000 years old, dating back to the late Middle Pleistocene, a time when Earth was still battling glacial ice and extreme climate shifts. Harold Berghuis, an archaeologist from Leiden University, describe this period as one of morphological diversity and high mobility among hominin populations. This suggests that not just one group, but multiple migrating communities might have lived here, forming a complex and rich prehistoric culture. Researchers also uncovered remnants of a buried ancient valley system, likely part of the extinct Solo River. Based on sediment layers and the abundance of samples, they believe this was once a thriving river ecosystem with water, vegetation, and wildlife, an ideal setting for early human life. So what caused it all to vanish beneath the sea? The likely answer: melting glaciers. Between 14,000 and 7,000 years ago, rising global temperatures triggered massive glacial melts, which flooded the oceans and submerged the vast lands of Sundaland, transforming a once thriving human habitat into a seabed. Yet, buried beneath the waves, that chapter of humanity's history is not lost. Fossils, skull fragments, and even ancient hunting marks speak volumes, urging us to keep searching, keep questioning, and keep learning about our extraordinary origins. Could Sundaland be the real-life Eastern Atlantis, a lost civilization swallowed by the sea? Or is it simply an overlooked piece of forgotten history? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. What lies beneath the Madura Strait isn't just fossilized remains. It's living proof of how humans lived, fought, and adapted amid Earth's harshest changes. And the quest to uncover this lost world, it may have only just begun. A mysterious artifact, a giant bronze cauldron, weighing 2,200 pounds found beneath a house foundation. One ordinary morning in the tranquil countryside of central Java, Indonesia, the rhythmic sound of shovels and pickaxes echoed as workers dug into the earth, removing clods of soil as they would for any construction project. Little did they know, a few strokes of the shovel would turn the neighborhood into a hotspot, attracting hundreds of curious onlookers. Then, the unimaginable happened. At a depth of approximately 3 feet beneath the ground, construction workers preparing the foundation for a townhouse suddenly encountered an unusual object. Initially, they assumed it was a large water pipe, perhaps an old forgotten utility line. But as they continued to dig, a round shape began to emerge. Not a pipe, but a massive metal object resembling a deep, concave cauldron straight out of legend. When the entire cauldron was lifted from the earth, the entire neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Children cheered, and adults couldn't stop taking photos and videos. Various stories and theories quickly circulated about the mysterious origins of this ancient artifact. Some speculated it was an ancient cooking vessel. Others believed it was a sacred treasure from the ancient Javanese kingdom. But no one knew for sure. What was truly astonishing was that the cauldron remained nearly perfectly intact after centuries buried underground. The land where the artifact was discovered belonged to a local businessman named Widodo, who had purchased the plot years earlier. For 3 years, the land had remained vacant, and he had no idea it concealed a 1,000-year-old heritage. Planning to build a new house in preparation for his son's wedding, he never expected to unearth a piece of forgotten history. Upon hearing the news, Indonesia's Cultural Heritage Agency immediately dispatched experts to the site. To prevent any potential damage, the entire construction area was cordoned off and work was temporarily halted. After measuring the artifact, experts determined that the cauldron stood about 4.6 feet tall, was 9.8 feet in diameter, and had walls 14 inches thick. Surprisingly, despite its massive size, it was not as heavy as it appeared. Just 4 adults could move it with relative ease. Researchers believe this artifact could be several hundred years old and might have once served as a giant cooking pot for an ancient military camp. Remarkably, despite being buried for so long, it showed minimal signs of deterioration, only a thin layer of rust. This raises a significant question. What material was it made from to withstand the ravages of time so well? This is where modern technology comes into play. Indonesia is at the forefront of applying artificial intelligence and digital technology in archaeology. From using AI to analyze images to employing machine learning for artifact recognition, everything is being digitized and processed more accurately than ever before. Deep learning algorithms are even being used to create 3D models of the artifact, allowing experts to examine every minute detail without direct contact. Furthermore, photogrammetry techniques are being utilized to digitally reconstruct and preserve the artifact in entirely new ways. In regions like Yogyakarta, archaeologists are even using drones and satellite imagery to create archaeological stratigraphy maps, helping to locate potential burial sites of artifacts without unnecessary excavation. Imagine, someday you could virtually walk through an archaeological site using VR technology, exploring the ancient cauldron in 360 degrees, examining every rust mark, all from the comfort of your home. The mysteries of history, the stories from millennia ago, are now being told using the most advanced technology humanity has ever had. What adds a heartwarming touch to this story is that Widodo, the landowner, decided to donate the cauldron to researchers for study and cultural heritage preservation. In an era where many might choose to keep or even sell such a valuable artifact for material gain, his gesture stands out as a beautiful act of generosity. The cauldron may just be an old cooking vessel, or perhaps the last remaining piece of a lost civilization. But more importantly, it symbolizes the connection between the past and the present, between history and technology, between humanity and the secrets still lying beneath the earth. The mysterious pyramid, beneath the Sea of Japan. Beneath the clear blue waters of the Pacific Ocean, off the coast of Yonaguni Island, the southernmost point of Japan's Ryukyu archipelago, lies a mystery that has puzzled scientists for nearly 40 years. It's not a shipwreck, nor is it a simple natural phenomenon. It is a massive, awe-inspiring structure resting silently on the ocean floor, resembling a sunken ancient city. First discovered in 1985 by a professional diver, the architectural complex was named the Yonaguni Monument. It bears no resemblance to anything previously found. Long stone steps, colossal pyramidal blocks with perfectly geometric shapes lie deep beneath the surface, suggesting that an ancient civilization may have once existed there, only to vanish without a trace. From above, the structure appears like a giant labyrinth, meticulously arranged with sharp angular lines, instantly prompting many to suspect human intervention. The stone steps descend as though leading into a temple. Some sections of the complex rise as high as 89 feet, approximately the height of a 9-story building. Even more surprising is that the entire structure is made from mudstone, a material that is not easy to carve or shape manually, especially on such a large scale. According to age assessments, the Yonaguni monument could have formed between 8,000 and 10,000 BCE, making it older than any known human civilization, including those of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. If true, what lies beneath the Sea of Japan could rewrite the entire history of human civilization. Since its discovery, Yonaguni has become the center of countless debates, theories, and even conspiracy speculations. Some believe it to be the remnants of Mu, a mythical advanced civilization said to have existed in the Pacific before being wiped out by a tsunami. Others suggest it could be the Atlantis of the East, a city lost without a trace after a natural disaster. There are even extraterrestrial theories. Proponents of this idea claim that the structures could not have been built by primitive human hands. They're too precise, too perfect, and too enormous, demanding construction techniques that would impress even modern engineers. So, who built Yonaguni? Could it be that humanity was not the first civilization on Earth? Among the many theories, Professor Masaki Kimura, a renowned marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus, has dedicated nearly his entire career to studying Yonaguni. Initially, he believed the formations were natural, but after his first dive, his perspective changed completely. Beneath layers of sediment, he discovered traces of polishing tools, primitive carvings, and even stone slabs shaped like animals. He stated firmly, "There is too much evidence to say this is just a geological formation. There are clear signs of human influence here." Furthermore, archaeologists from the University of London made a shocking claim. The people who built Yonaguni might have been more advanced than the civilizations of Mesopotamia or the Indus Valley, both traditionally seen as the cradle of humanity. This raises an enormous question. Did a highly advanced civilization once exist, only to vanish completely from history? And if so, what happened to it? A great flood? A cataclysmic earthquake? Or simply the slow decay of time? No one knows for certain. Only the ocean keeps the secret. And the Yonaguni monument stands as a quiet reminder that humanity may not fully understand its own past. Today, thanks to modern archaeological technology, research teams are continuing to reconstruct a 3D model of the entire complex. Data collected from drones, sonar, and satellite imagery is gradually redrawing Yonaguni's original form. Perhaps someday soon, we'll be able to explore this submerged city through virtual reality, walking down its stone corridors, standing on its ancient steps, and witnessing history through modern eyes. In the depths of the sea, where light barely reaches, Yonaguni waits silently to tell its story. An overlooked chapter, a riddle for humankind, and perhaps the key to unlocking the dawn of Earth's first civilization. A 5,000-year-old treasure beneath the desert sands. Can you imagine that? Right in the heart of the scorching and unforgiving Rub al-Khali, one of the hottest and harshest deserts on Earth, there exists an ancient 5,000-year-old civilization buried deep beneath endless layers of sand? At first, I didn't believe it either. But such a discovery was recently announced by scientists, stunning the archaeological world and igniting global curiosity. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is that it wasn't made through traditional, expensive, and labor-intensive excavation methods. Instead, researchers used cutting-edge technology, artificial intelligence, AI, and satellite imagery to uncover the ancient civilization. Thanks to these tools, they were able to see through thick desert sand invisible to the human eye, detecting traces that had remained hidden for thousands of years. A research team from Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi developed a special AI algorithm capable of analyzing satellite radar images. This radar can penetrate desert sand layers to identify ancient structures such as walls, roads, and forgotten settlements. That's how they found evidence of a 5,000-year-old civilization lying deep within the Rub al-Khali Desert, one of the largest and most extreme deserts on the planet. Dr. Diana Francis, the lead researcher, shared, "Conducting archaeological surveys in the desert is extremely challenging due to weather conditions and terrain. Using satellite data combined with AI gives us a way to locate buried sites without the high costs and time-consuming nature of physical excavation." This technology not only helped identify new archaeological traces in the United Arab Emirates, but it also holds promise for desert regions around the world, including North Africa and the Middle East. It marks the beginning of a new era in modern archaeology, where machines and artificial intelligence become powerful tools in uncovering our ancient past. Following the announcement, the Dubai Culture Authority swiftly granted excavation permits for the areas flagged by the research team. This is a crucial step that will allow archaeologists to verify the findings and delve deeper into this ancient civilization, giving us valuable insight into human history and development. This story has captured not just the attention of scientists, but also sparked the curiosity of history enthusiasts and explorers alike. If such an ancient civilization could exist beneath the sands of Rub al-Khali, imagine what other mysteries might still be waiting to be discovered across the world's vast deserts. The combination of AI and satellite imagery has truly transformed how we approach archaeology. No longer reliant solely on risky, traditional digs, we now have high-tech expeditions that save time and resources while dramatically expanding the scope and accuracy of exploration. The magnificent water supply system of ancient Rome. When people think of ancient Roman civilization, they often picture legendary colosseums, powerful emperors, or grand symbolic temples. But behind the glory of these iconic symbols lies a lesser-known yet truly monumental achievement, an infrastructure so advanced that it amazed the ancient world and continues to impress modern science: the Roman water supply system. This vast network, often referred to as the lifeblood of the Roman Empire, sustained one of the greatest civilizations in history for centuries. Among the ancient stone cities, one structure stands out in particular: Aqua Virgo, an underground aqueduct stretching nearly 13 miles. It was constructed in the 1st century BCE under the leadership of Marcus Agrippa, one of Emperor Augustus's most trusted generals. Aqua Virgo was far more than a water channel. It was a true engineering marvel. Quietly operating beneath the surface, it was vital to the survival and growth of millions of Roman citizens. According to legend, the source of Aqua Virgo's pure water was discovered by a young maiden who guided Roman soldiers to a spring flowing from the Sabine Mountains. In her honor, the system was named Virgo, meaning virgin in Latin. From this source, tens of thousands of cubic meters of water flowed into Rome daily, and remarkably, some sections of this ancient system are still functioning today, over 2,000 years later. Hard to believe, isn't it? At its peak, ancient Rome had 11 major aqueduct systems, delivering up to 132 million gallons of water each day, a volume that would astonish even modern cities. These aqueducts ran underground, crossed valleys, tunneled through hills, and in some cases spanned gorges via massive multi-tiered bridges like the Pont du Gard in southern France. This aqueduct stretches 31 miles and has a height difference of just 40 feet, a slope of only 0.0248%, almost perfectly precise. To achieve this extraordinary accuracy, the Romans used a device known as the chorobates, an ancient type of leveling instrument. With it, they measured and adjusted each segment of the aqueduct with precision down to the millimeter. For example, the Anio Novus, one of the most famous aqueducts, had a slope of just 4.3 feet per mile, yet it still managed to maintain a continuous flow of water from the mountains to the heart of the city. The entire system was built using a special Roman concrete called opus caementicium. This material was highly water-resistant and extremely durable, so much so that many aqueducts and bridges remain standing thousands of years later. Inside, the rectangular water channels were lined with multiple layers of waterproof plaster to prevent leaks, something even today's water systems struggle to achieve. The brilliance of Roman engineering wasn't just in their overall design, but also in their attention to detail. In challenging terrain, they used hollow stone pipes fitted with mechanical joints, essentially the ancient prototype of modern plumbing. Some of these pipes even had inspection holes to check and clean out sediment, which were then sealed with a special material to ensure long-term efficiency. It's almost unbelievable that such advanced engineering came from a civilization that existed thousands of years ago. Today, if you visit Parco degli Acquedotti in Rome, you can still see the remains of these aqueducts standing proudly among grassy fields, winding in parallel like eternal monuments to the genius of Roman engineers. In some places, the vaulted arches of the aqueducts soar up to 89 feet high, leaving modern visitors speechless at the sheer scale and accuracy achieved without any digital technology. Looking at these structures, one realizes that greatness doesn't always come in the form of pyramids or colossal statues. Sometimes it lies in the quiet flow of water, something that once nourished an empire and left an indelible mark on human history. Once again, ancient Rome shows us that engineering is not just a tool, it's a symbol of progress and forward thinking. And perhaps the greatest lesson they left us is this: when you harness knowledge and intellect, you can create works that not only defy time, but also stretch the limits of imagination. The Scythian treasure and ancient drug rituals. Amid the rugged mountains of the Caucasus, where Europe and Asia meet, a 2013 archaeological discovery sent shockwaves through the historical world. What began as a routine electrical line installation near the city of Stavropol in southern Russia turned into something extraordinary. Deep beneath the frozen earth, workers stumbled upon an ancient burial chamber, long thought to have been lost to time and grave robbers. But hidden beyond those lifeless layers of dirt and stone was a stunning secret, a stash of pure gold and traces of ancient narcotics, concealed in a secret chamber inside a 400-year-old Scythian tomb. This treasure not only stunned archaeologists with its material value, but also opened an unexpected gateway into a world where warriors, rituals, and mind-altering substances blended in ways few could have imagined. The Scythians, a nomadic people who once roamed the vast Eurasian steppes, have now compelled the modern world to rethink how they lived, fought, and worshipped. Upon entering the tomb, archaeologists were initially disappointed to find the main chamber looted and nearly empty. But their fortune changed when they discovered a cleverly hidden underground room. Inside was nearly 7 pounds of pure gold. Not crude ingots, but exquisitely crafted items such as bracelets, rings, cups, and jars, each intricately decorated with scenes of warriors, animals, mythology, and solemn rituals. Some of the vessels depicted Scythian warriors in battle stance, complete with detailed attire, hairstyles, weapons, and facial expressions so vivid they seemed like ancient slow-motion film scenes etched in gold. But the biggest surprise came later. When experts analyzed the black residue left inside several of the gold vessels, the results shocked the research team. Traces of opium and cannabis were found, potent psychoactive substances likely used in religious rituals or as preparation for war. At that moment, this golden treasure became more than a collection of luxury items. It became living evidence of an ancient drug ritual, long speculated upon but never proven until now. The Greek historian Herodotus wrote of such Scythian customs over 2 millennia ago. According to his accounts, after battle, Scythians would gather in a sealed tent. Inside, they burned plants containing intoxicating substances, inhaled the smoke, and entered a state of divine trance. This wasn't just a ritual. It was a spiritual connection, a way to commune with their gods of war. And now, this newly discovered treasure offers the clearest physical confirmation of Herodotus's writings. After centuries of skepticism and forgetfulness, gold, narcotics, and ritual, three elements rarely associated together, have merged here to paint a vivid portrait of Scythian spiritual and cultural life. They were not merely fierce horsemen charging across the plains, but deeply ritualistic people living at the crossroads of reality and myth, in a world illuminated by the gleam of gold and shrouded in the haze of ancient herbs. This discovery has been hailed as a once-in-a-century find, not just for its monetary value, but for the deeper questions it raises. Who was buried here? Was he a general, a shaman, or a nomadic king? Why was the drug ritual so meticulously concealed? And how many other hidden chambers might still lie undisturbed beneath the soil of the Caucasus Mountains? While these questions remain unanswered, this find sheds new light on the complexity and richness of ancient cultures we once thought we fully understood. The Olmec stone heads, a mystery that has challenged humanity for thousands of years. In a forgotten corner of human history, deep within the jungles of present-day Mexico, lie strange remnants that have puzzled scientists for decades. They are not Egyptian pyramids, nor are they the Moai statues of Easter Island, but their allure and mystery are no less compelling. These are the colossal stone heads of the Olmec civilization, one of the oldest and least understood ancient cultures in the Americas. Imagine standing before a carved stone head weighing nearly 40,000 pounds and standing almost 11.5 feet tall, sculpted with astonishingly lifelike and detailed human features. What makes them even more enigmatic is the origin of the stones themselves. They do not come from the area where the heads were found. Instead, they were quarried from the Tuxtlas Mountains, more than 186 miles away, a staggering distance for any ancient civilization to cover. So how did the Olmecs, who lived more than 3,000 years ago, manage to transport such massive stones without wheels, without metal tools, and without modern machinery? According to experts, moving a single stone head would have required over 1,500 people pulling continuously for 3 to 4 months, an almost unimaginable feat given the harsh conditions of the time. And even then, the mystery doesn't end there. After the stones were transported, they had to be meticulously carved into human likenesses, a task demanding an incredibly advanced level of craftsmanship. This leads to another unanswered question. What tools did they use to create such intricate sculptures? To this day, no definitive evidence has been found indicating that the Olmecs possessed metal tools or stone-cutting technology capable of producing such precision. So what enabled them to create masterpieces that have withstood the test of millennia? The discovery of the Olmec stone heads didn't just shock the archaeological community, it upended long-standing beliefs about the origins of Mesoamerican civilization. For a long time, anthropologists assumed the Maya were the first to lay the foundations of Central American culture. However, archaeological evidence now strongly suggests that it was actually the Olmecs, not the Maya, who were the founding fathers of Mesoamerican civilization. They not only created massive and mysterious stone art, but also built large cities and monumental pyramids, well before the rise of Rome, and even earlier than the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. This proves that the Olmecs were not merely skilled sculptors, but also visionary architects and engineers, with capabilities that far exceeded what was once thought possible for their time. Could it be that the Olmecs possessed some forgotten technology or ancient knowledge that modern humanity has yet to uncover? Many theories have been proposed. Some suggest assistance from extraterrestrial civilizations, others speculate about a lost prehistoric technology. None of these have been confirmed, and the mystery remains. Yet no matter how far-fetched the theories, one thing is undeniable. The Olmecs were centuries ahead of their time. They had deep understanding of astronomy, architecture, mathematics, and art. The ability to synchronize multi-ton blocks, carve detailed facial expressions, and coordinate such massive efforts reveals an extraordinary level of intelligence, system thinking, and organizational skill rarely seen in ancient civilizations. What makes the Olmec heads truly special is not just their immense size or technical brilliance, but the story behind them. A story long forgotten, buried by time, yet quietly challenging our understanding of human history. They serve as a powerful reminder that there is still so much we don't know about the past, and that every new discovery has the potential to change how we view the history of our species. Perhaps buried within those ancient ruins still lie clues, fragments of a civilization that once shone brightly and held secrets far beyond its age. And when will we finally uncover those answers? Perhaps they are still lying deep beneath the earth, quietly waiting for the day they will be awakened. A 1,200-year-old mansion in the desert. Amid the arid expanse of the Negav desert, where sand, wind, and scorching sunlight stretch endlessly to the horizon, a long-buried secret has unexpectedly come to light after lying dormant for more than 200 years. Archaeologists recently announced the excavation of a luxurious ancient mansion, unveiling a fascinating new chapter in the history of the Middle East, right in the Bedouin town of southern Israel. No one had imagined that a place as harsh and seemingly barren as the Negev could once have hosted what archaeologists describe as a luxurious rural estate. This was no ordinary dwelling, but an architectural marvel from the 8th to 9th century CE, at the dawn of the Islamic period. The Israel Antiquities Authority described the site as a buried gem in the desert sands, with marble-paved corridors, walls adorned with exquisite frescoes, and intricate architectural details that speak to the opulence of a forgotten era. What makes this discovery especially significant is not just the elegance of the structure itself, but its geographical setting. This is the first site of its kind ever uncovered in the Negev desert. A mansion with vaulted ceilings and a central courtyard, hallmarks of early Islamic architecture, was found far from the power and economic centers of the time. This surprising location has led archaeologists to pose several pressing questions. Who lived here? Why build such a lavish residence in the heart of a harsh desert? The answers may lie hidden in the underground rooms and storage chambers, where excavation teams found ancient oil lamps and a subterranean water reservoir. These clues confirm that the estate was more than just a home. It was a carefully designed living space meant for daily life and entertaining guests. This was no ordinary residence. According to archaeologist Noé D. Michael, the estate's grandeur and the complexity of its underground features reflect the immense wealth and influence of its original owner. Whoever lived here had not only the power to build a grand estate, but also the means to sustain a life of comfort in the middle of the desert. Based on the evidence, it is likely that this mansion belonged to a high-ranking figure, perhaps a local lord or regional governor, someone who wielded authority and had a refined sense of aesthetics and organizational skill. The discovery radically changes our understanding of the Negev's past. Until now, there had been no signs that the area was once home to nobility or elite rulers, but this impressive architectural site whispers a different story. That the Negev once flourished, hosted gatherings of power, and was a crossroads where art, architecture, and survival strategy thrived together. This is a vivid testament to human adaptation and advancement during the early Islamic era. Rather than being defeated by the desert, these people transformed it into a livable, enjoyable, and socially elevated space. It also illustrates the far-reaching influence of Islamic civilization in the 8th century, not just in religion, but in architecture, economy, and lifestyle. More than just an archaeological discovery, this site is a vital puzzle piece in the larger portrait of ancient Middle Eastern history. The marble tiles, the preserved frescoes, even the water reservoir and oil lamps, these are not merely relics, but clues pointing us back to an era when rulers lived hidden in the desert, surrounded by luxury and power. This find is not just the uncovering of an ancient house, it is a time portal, opening a journey into a civilization that once thrived in a place long thought uninhabitable. It serves as a powerful reminder that beneath the thick dust of history lie untold stories of power, ambition, and the human will to master nature. And perhaps this is just the beginning. For the Negev may still be hiding many more secrets, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to seek the truth among the fragments of time. The hidden treasure within the ancient tower. On an ordinary afternoon in the Xinhua region of China, 3 children were innocently searching for bird nests within the grounds of an ancient pagoda. Unbeknownst to them, their playful curiosity would soon lead to the discovery of one of the most significant archaeological treasures in Chinese history. A sudden slip, a moment of wonder, and the earth beneath them revealed a hidden world of unparalleled beauty and craftsmanship. What emerged was a treasure trove valued at approximately 50 billion Chinese yuan, about $7 billion USD, not in gold or jewels, but in sacred relics of exquisite artistry and profound spiritual significance. At the heart of this discovery stood a nearly 1,000-year-old reliquary pagoda, meticulously crafted from rare southern wood and adorned with over 40,000 pearls. Its intricate design incorporated materials such as gold, silver, sandalwood, and the revered seven treasures of Buddhism. The pagoda's structure was divided into three symbolic sections: the 2D hall, the Buddha hall, and the pagoda shaft, each representing profound elements of Buddhist philosophy. The centerpiece of the Buddha hall housed a delicate vessel containing 9 sacred relics, known as sarira. These relics are believed to be the crystallized remains of enlightened monks or the Buddha himself, formed after cremation. In Buddhist tradition, sarira are not mere symbols, but are considered miraculous manifestations of spiritual purity and wisdom, often exhibiting properties such as luminescence and hardness surpassing that of diamonds. In addition to the reliquary, the treasure included ancient manuscripts, woodblock prints of the Lotus Sutra, and numerous artifacts from bygone eras, each bearing the imprints of a once thriving civilization. The fact that these relics were concealed within a pagoda for centuries, remaining undisturbed until this chance discovery, raises intriguing questions. Were they deliberately preserved as a sacred legacy for future generations? This revelation not only enriches our understanding of ancient Chinese culture, but also challenges our perceptions of the spiritual and artistic achievements of past civilizations. It serves as a poignant reminder that beneath the sands of time lie stories of faith, artistry, and wisdom waiting to be uncovered. As we reflect on this extraordinary find, we are reminded of the enduring legacy of those who came before us, whose devotion and creativity continue to inspire awe and admiration. What are your thoughts on this remarkable discovery? Does it prompt you to reconsider the depths of ancient civilization's spiritual and artistic accomplishments? Share your reflections in the comments below. If you are captivated by such tales of historical intrigue, don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications for our upcoming explorations into the mysteries of the past. Until next time, we bid you farewell and look forward to our next journey into the annals of history.